I'm out in Labelle today at one of my most favorite places in the world. This property is the Port Labelle Inn. A number of years ago, now about 7 years ago, St. Matthew's House had the good fortune, through the generosity of the Halachek Family Foundation, to buy this property. Initially, we bought 8.5 acres here and a hotel, the cart barn, and several things like this. This was an old golf course and part of a development that didn't really take off well. The golf course was carved up, and so this was a property falling into disrepair. We bought it for several reasons. One is we needed a site for the men in our recovery program. And the second, we always believe in the social enterprise model. So we're not just helping people, we're helping people in a way that transforms lives and gives job opportunities and training potential. One of those career opportunities we'll see out here is the hospitality business, from working in the kitchen to working in the hotel operation to doing property maintenance. All of those things are viable skills. And so at this property, we have a functioning hotel. It's a beautiful property with everything you'd want in a nice retreat. It's a small property, it's a rural area, and we've been able to add some additional acreage now. So we now have about 50 acres out here where we have cattle, we have chickens, we have all kinds of farming production going. One of the other things that we do is we're actually trying to grow our own food. So my goal is to get up to producing 60 to 70% of our own food on this site. But what we want to do today is just show you around a little bit. On the outside of this property, you get a building that was built in 1979, and we spent a lot of time and money remodeling and preparing for it. As we go through this tour, Bob Erzik, our Director of Communications, is monitoring our website. So if somebody has questions or they call in or you text or email us a question, I can talk endlessly about this property because I love it out here. But we may have other questions that'll come up that you're thinking of, that you want to know what's going on, and so we'll be able to get to those. So let's walk inside and show you a little bit about what we're doing here. For St. Matthew's House, when we came out here, some of the neighbors were concerned. What would it mean to have St. Matthew's House bringing people out here that were in recovery? Is that going to damage our community? Is it going to make the property dangerous? I was talking to a friend with the sheriff's office out here in Hendry County, and they were concerned if we bring men in a recovery program and a discipleship program out here, is that going to add crime to the area? What they were surprised by was that we actually made the community safer. We're taking people from all over our area that'll come into a year-long residential recovery program. And so St. Matthew's House is actually renting the top floor of this property that we manage as a separate for-profit business, so that the men in recovery have a place to stay while they're learning, they're growing. And this is really a discipleship program. How do we make men and followers of Jesus Christ and sober and healthy and happy, and really to find a spiritual foundation? I'm looking on the weather there, it says it's 73 degrees, so this is a beautiful time to be in Labelle and to see this property. Here's the lobby. You can see beautiful lobby. I love showing off our property. And as we go around today, you're going to see guys working on various projects. The men in the program that are learning discipleship, they're also learning some recovery skills that include maintenance and upkeep and farming. And so out here, there's a beautiful courtyard. It's hard to look on a TV or a computer screen and get the full image of what we're really about. But this is just a spectacular property. We've done weddings down here, and we have a catering company out here. We'll get to that in a minute, but Sprout Catering is one of the best caterers in the central part of Florida here in the middle of the state in Southwest Florida. But it makes a great venue for events, and we do a lot of conferences and things like that, church groups, recovery groups, people that just want to get away for a little bit. This is a great place to be. And so I'd like to talk with our site manager is Louis Morales, and he's been with us for a while. And just to get a little catch up. So Louis, how long have you been with us here at St. Matthew's House?
I've been a little over a year with St. Matthew's House. This is my first time in the Southwest Florida area, and I got to say, I do love it.
Well, so tell me what's the most impactful thing you see happening in the lives of the men and the community we serve out here?
When the men come from the first part of our program, MOTRAC, when they come here, you see them come in disheartened, lack of hope. And one of the things that we see here, because they spend approximately 7 months here, and as the months go on, you start seeing life come into their eyes. They start to change physically, emotionally, and psychologically. You start seeing changes in them, and then they start to believe that they have the power to change in and through Christ Jesus. So that's what we love the most.
Tell me about, I know when we came out here and we were talking about buying this property, people in the community were concerned. St. Matthew's House is coming and we're bringing people with us that might not be well behaved. Well, I know we don't have behavior problems with our folks, that we monitor, we work with it. There's a voluntary program. But how has the community actually seen the impact of our being here? Are we accepted in the community? Are there problems? I mean, this is just a secret conversation that some folks are listening in on. But, how's the community accept and feel about us today?
Actually, now the community actually comes here to the front desk lobby and requests, hey, do you have a couple guys to do this, that, and the other thing? And we love to do it because we love to keep the community reaching out towards us as we embrace them and they embrace us. So it's been a collaboration between the two, and I believe it's working very, very fine.
I know you've been, in the year you've been here, where there have been a lot of projects working on cleaning things up and improving it. And so, are we about done, or are we going to keep busy for a little while longer?
I don't think we're about done, but there has been a lot of changes in upgrading a lot of the old light fixtures and maybe the colors on the wall, just to give it a more vibrant, up-to-date look. But now I would say we probably have work here for the next 10 years to maintain this property the way it should look. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you spending some time with us. We're going to show folks around. If somebody's watching this and they said, I want to stay out here at the hotel, come out for a weekend or a night or just to get away for a bit, how do they reach our hotel? How do they make that connection?
They can actually go to the bookings.com and the search engines will bring us up, and you can do absolutely everything there. We're connected with hotwire.com, Hotels Inc., booking.com, you name it, they all pop up, and we'll show up on their search engine, and they can book online, and we would love to have them there. Right now this weekend, guys, sorry, we're completely booked.
Well, that's if you go to those search engines, look for the Port Labelle Inn, and we're going to be here. And what a great opportunity and a great venue. We'll walk down and show you around a little bit of what's going on here. And as you can see, the lobby, I love some of the views and seeing the colors out here. This is just a beautiful spot to be able to do this. As we are upgrading the building, we know there were several $1 million worth of upkeep and maintenance, and we're getting ready to replace a lot of the windows to make sure that we have a really strong hurricane-resistant property. A lot of us, my family and I, came out here to survive Hurricane Irma with the men in our program and make sure they were okay. And we want to strengthen this property, but we're continuing to invest in this. And it's beautiful today, and I love it out here, but it's going to be even better in the future. As we go through here, we'll show you a little bit of one of the dining areas and what we have a chance to do. Outside, this side is one of the best views on the property. Today we have this. When this was a regular hotel, and there was a golf course. This was the 19th hole. This was the bar and the place to go hang out. Today, this is our breakfast bar, and this is part of our cafe operation. And so we can do meals out here. We can cater meals, cater events, and we have a beautiful view of the Oxbow Lake. This is called an Oxbow Lake because of the shape of the harness that was put on an ox. The lake has that shape to it, and it's an old part of a riverbed that is the Caloosahatchee is just few feet away from the south side of our property, or the north side of our property, actually. And so we'll show you around a little bit. But in this area, we're able to do all kinds of work. Hotel guests come down here for breakfast, have a chance to have a meal and conversation and gather. It's a beautiful spot, great place to do that. Cassandra, come on over and we'll ask you a couple of questions about Sprout Catering and what we do. Cassandra helps to coordinate the sales and the work with our catering and our events. And how long have you been with St. Matthew's House?
It's been 2 years now, and started on January 14th, and I've been loving it.
So what size events can we do with Sprout Catering?
This room actually opens up to a really large banquet room. We hold about 170. We have round tables and square tables, so depending on what the customer likes, we can manipulate how many people we can sit here.
Right. And will Sprout Catering only work on this property, or can we go off-site?
No, we definitely do travel all over from Fort Myers to Clewiston. We have gone a little northern than that, but this area is where we generally stick in. And then also we have the Delicious by Design that does southern. So.
Yeah, Cassandra mentioned Delicious by Design, which is the name of our catering company in Naples, and Sprout Catering out here in Labelle. If you call the Port Labelle Inn and you ask to talk to Cassandra, or you want to talk about catering, one of the things we like to do is plan events where we can rent out rooms on the second floor to people who are coming in for a weekend or some type of event or conference, and then do catering and all the meals related to that as well. So it's an all-inclusive kind of capacity to do everything here in-house and make sure it's good for everybody. I know this time of year, Lewis was saying that the hotel's fully booked this weekend. It seems like we're getting pretty busy right now.
Yes, right now we have a retreat coming in starting on Friday, and they go all the way up until Sunday. They have, of course, all the rooms on the second floor. They're going to be receiving breakfast, lunch, and dinner from morning to night, and of course Sprout Catering will be offering all the meals, and our hospitality team from the men's program will be serving them the entire time.
So you've worked alongside the guys in the program, and you see what's happening in their lives. You're also a mom of 3 small kids. So how comfortable are your kids being around these guys in recovery? Because sometimes people think about men with an addiction or in recovery, and there's a little bit of anxiety. Oh no, what does this mean? And so I've seen your kids around here, and what's that experience as a mom and seeing the change in these men's lives?
Well, at first it was, I've been around the block here because my husband here has been here for 6 years, so my kids and I have already been integrated into what we do here. So my kids love it like it's their family. They look at the men as if they're their older brothers, and they always say, Mom, we don't need to adopt another. We have 60 older brothers that are here, because they're always urging for that older brother, but we don't. We have only 2 girls and a younger boy, so the older brother syndrome is definitely here on property. They run around and act like they're working alongside the guys, and they get to help with all the events that we do. And then, of course, when we have holidays, we come here and do our holiday dinner with all of them as well.
What Cassandra's talking about there is at the holidays, at Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving, many of the men in the program have had broken relationships with their family. And so the family comes for a Thanksgiving meal, and that may be the first holiday they have with their family member who's been away from them in an active addiction. And every year that I get to come out here and be part of that, their moms and dads and sometimes kids will come up and thank me for saving their loved one's life or restoring their loved one to them. And it's really, I say thank you and I appreciate those things, but it's really not me that's saving their lives. It's all of you, our donors and supporters. It's all of our team, Cassandra and the whole culinary team here. It's really God's work, and I just get to be part of that. And so what a joy to be part of this. Thank you for the good work you do, and love seeing your youngest son. He actually was born since y'all have been here and grew up, or has growing up around this stuff.
I was pregnant before. Obviously, I was pregnant when Jason started here, and the guys got to see me when I was pregnant, all the way to having the baby, to now he's 5 years old. So it's been a real experience, and he just loves this place as a family, So we do have events coming up, though, this month coming.
What are those?
We have our Food and Friends dinner that's on March 18th. It's going to be a fine dining experience, 5-course meal. And then we also have a family-orientated event that's our movie night on the lawn outside in the garden. So that's going to be really cool.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Check out our website and make sure you come out to those events. Let's show you the kitchen, and we're going to take a minute and walk around here and show you a little bit more of what we get to do. And Bob, any questions or anything coming in that we... like I said, I can talk the entire time, so it's for. So, all right.
Hopefully we'll get some here soon.
Please send us your questions and see. Right now we've been focusing primarily on the social enterprise component and what we do as an organization to help people walk through this whole program. In here we have the dining room that during the regular weekly operations, this is where the men that are in our discipleship program will have lunch. So we sit family style. They learn to relate and connect with each other and support each other. The men coming through this program really develop a sense of belonging and compassion and care for each other. Bob?
And Van, what phase of the program is this where the men come out here at the Port Labelle Inn? What does generally a day look like for them?
Yeah, so Bob asked the question, what phase of the program are the people here in? For us, the program starts typically with the men in Naples in what's called motivational track, which is about a month-long component of the program. Then they'll come out here where they'll be with us for about 7 months out here. They could be longer if they're staying for one of the job training or in the peer mentor capacity. And then they'll move back to Naples, oftentimes, where they'll be at the Wolf Apartments for the transition back into the community. So everything is staged. So they start in Naples, come here for this quiet solitude place, this peaceful place. Typically in the mornings, they're doing class. They get up in the morning, have a devotional time, have conversations and fellowship. They'll have breakfast and then get to class. After class, there's a little bit of time to do some chores and start cleaning up around the property. And then they're going to have lunch in here and then go back and do chores. Or there's all kinds of activities during the day. They're having meetings with some of the staff who are in charge of helping them grow through their issues or face those challenges from a faith-based perspective. And really, we have a 12-step faith-based approach out here. So everything, if you're familiar with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, that's key to what we do, and that's part of the faith-based component. Let's go in the kitchen. It may be a little loud because it is a kitchen, and we'll see if we can have a conversation with Chef Jason. So, turn the radio. So this is our kitchen where Chef Jason has the opportunity both to train people in food service and prepare great meals. One of the reasons I love coming out here is because I like great food. And so the guys in here who are with us today, they're working and they're what we're seeing there is a guy learning knife skills. I mean, when somebody starts in a culinary field, whether they come to us with lots of skills or without those, most people in the culinary business started off in washing dishes. And so that's part of the cleanliness, and there's everybody working in here, we're going to get safe food handling certifications. But you start with knife skills and doing repeated products where we're making it good, making it healthy, and doing the best we can for the people we're serving. And then we're going to head back here around the stove a little bit. Chef Jason Boyer's our executive chef, and we just talked with Cassandra. She gave away the how long you've been here already part. But what do you get to do out here? Tell us about your job and how you get to be involved.
Well, first and foremost, I get to mentor men in our recovery program, which is a huge blessing, not only in my life, but in the lives of others. But I get to do what I love to do most, which is cook, and so I get to give back that way.
So what's for lunch today? What do you have going here?
We're calling it a Justin's Place Jambalaya. So we get smoked sausage and marinara and peppers from our garden and tomatoes from our garden and grilled chicken.
All right, can we take a peek at this and see what it looks like? It's looking good. I'm on this new diet where I'm not sure I can have all that stuff, but I want all that stuff. That's probably why I need to be on a diet. I always want more of that stuff. So you can think about your time with St. Matthew's House. I know you started in Naples and then you came out here, but what's been the most impactful part of working in St. Matthew's House, and what have you seen happen in the lives of people?
Well, I think that watching them go from, because we're kind of in the heart of the recovery program here, watching them go from lost and broken to that transformed life that we talk about that happens through Christ. We get to be firsthand witness that life change. And then also we get to equip them and empower them to be successful once they leave Labelle and go back into Naples, whether it be in the hospitality industry or not. We give them real life skills, job training skills to be able to be successful and live a life in recovery, and ultimately that God created them to live. So.
That's exciting, good stuff. Well, thank you for all the work you do. I know for those of you, there are probably some alumni watching this and that are hearing about what's going on out here. Jason's kind of in some ways been the heart and the soul, not just because he cooks good food, but because he loves these guys and cares for them and has been a key part of this program for so long. So thank you for all that you do to carry on the mission and represent both our donors, the families that entrusted us with their sons and brothers and husbands, and so thank you for your work. God bless you. Thanks.
Thank you.
So again, it's looking good. I like what we got going here. All kinds of good stuff and smelling delicious. We don't have a smell-o-vision going, so you'll have to trust me on this, but it really smells good. And so we're very excited on all the good things we're getting to experience in a place like this. And you know what, when they say that the way to a man's heart's through his stomach, there's an element of truth to that here, is that a guy comes out here not sure that he's cared about. Well, some of our guys have been in jail or prison where the menu certainly didn't look like they were of value to anybody. And our goal is they sit as a family, they understand the care and the concern that we have for them. One of the things that we do to think about meals and the conversations that happen here is at dinner, the men are expected to wear a tie. We want the men to learn to be gentlemen and to learn to be responsible for the way they present themselves. We want them to change from being a guy who is on the streets or who is pointless and without direction and who may feel awkward or inadequate in some way. Well, we want them to learn how to tie a tie, learn how to develop the skills so that they can interview well, they can present well, and they can be confident that they're equipped for whatever they're going to face in the future. So everything out here is about developing that kind of camaraderie and that sense of community. For us, why we're not a drug rehab, but we're a discipleship program, is we're not focused on addiction. We're focused on helping these people become the men that they were really created to be, so that they can have a fulfilling life of purpose and meaning and value, and be restored to their family more than just a sober man, but a man who is really the anchor of his home and who can function in the highest level. Let's go out front and want to show you some of the gardens and what we get to do out there. A lot of great stuff happening here. If you watched a lot of these videos, you're going to see that Sharon Weingarten was with us at the Alva property and talking about the work we get to do out there. Well, Sharon oversees all the ag production throughout St. Matthew's House properties, and in Naples we have Scott's Garden at our 2601 property, and some gardening projects with Lulu's Kitchen. And then in Alva, we're growing food and having chickens and all kinds of crops out there. And out here in Labelle, we have the privilege of having more land so we can do more food production. And one of the first things we did was some hydrostackers, which is an effort at hydroponic type gardening where we're doing raised bed gardening and hydrostackers. And so we can just walk over here and then we'll hop in some golf carts in a minute and try our magic golf cart run. But as you can see, this is just a beautiful, peaceful property. And as we come over here, the property extends to a fence line over here that you can't really see, but several things are happening here all the time. You can see there's trees that are planted here. And as people donate tropical trees, or when my father passed away, my mom knew my dad loved gardening and loved this type of thing. So we planted a couple of trees out here in memory and honor of my dad, who's now been gone for a number of years. But those trees are now growing and producing a crop that's a blessing to the people we serve. So we're going to be planting more and more tropical trees. In 10 years, there's going to be a food forest around here. Beautiful food production happening in a way that lives are dramatically impacted by the fresh fruit and produce that we get to serve. Up here, we have one of our first efforts was a raised bed garden. And so the chef gets to pick what he wants in here. So some of this is going to be herbs and all kinds of different things. And then we've got our hydro stackers over here as well. And the hydro stackers are in the hydro garden, is producing all kinds of great produce. And it's amazing how much produce can be produced on these raised bed garden type of effort, because each one of these levels can have 4 plants on it. And so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels of plants here. And those plantings will allow us to produce far more food than we would in just this garden space. We have hundreds and hundreds more plants. So you're going to see strawberries and peppers and different types of leafy greens, tomatoes, all kinds of wonderful food out here. And this is the time of year in Florida where we do most of our gardening. We're able to produce a crop of food, and literally we can do hundreds of pounds of fresh produce out of a garden like this every week. And so when we talk about producing food for our table, this is where we're able to do so much of that. Sharon, I ask you to come over and join us for a second. Sharon Weingarten, I mentioned before, is our ag director and has a chance to really work with the guys in the program. So you were with us at the Alva property. Well, tell us a little bit about what you get to do here.
Thank you, Vann. Here in Labelle, the size of the farm is much larger, so we have more opportunities. We're fortunate to have a hydrostacker system behind you here, and basically we have a chef's garden behind me where we're growing herbs that the chef can incorporate into our meals, and the men tend to the gardens. And they do a really nice job helping to provide some of the foods that we eat for lunch and dinner.
Well, you're fairly new to St. Matthew's House. You've only been with us for a few months and making a great impact. But what's it meant to you to work alongside these guys and to see this happen? I mean, in your own life, has this mission impacted you?
It has. Getting to know the men. I just started in October, so I'm developing relationships with many of the men that are currently in the program, and just to encourage them, give them hope and inspiration. We have a weekly agriculture class where we talk about subjects that maybe can help them post-graduation, something that they learn they can incorporate into their professional lives. But it's meant a lot to me to see the growth of the men when they first come here, and I wouldn't say lost, but needing the help, and then through the work of the agricultural program and the ministry, you can see the transformation over the course of the months.
I love the fact that you went to school to learn how to grow plants and to farm things, but today those skills are not only doing that, but they're helping to grow men and grow their character and their capacity. So let's take a tour of the property. I'll get you in the front cart, and then Bob and I will drive behind you, I think, and follow you around. We can have a chance to see a little bit of this. Will take us to the next stop, and I'll just chat a little as we're going here. Why don't you drive the front one, so and that way we can. We're not sure all of what to do, but we're going to keep working at it until we get a good answer here. So we're going to go ahead and head around here and have a chance to look at the rest of the property. I probably won't be able to show you everything just because it's a big property. Several of the things that are on this property, in addition to what you've already seen, is we have an apiary license where we're now have our own bees, so that we're able to produce honey. We have this is Brazilian pepper hedge on the border of our property, and that makes a little spicy kick to the honey. We also have all kinds of other crops that are here, and as we grow around or go around and we see all the things we're growing, here are some of the food forests that we're planting. We look at putting in all kinds of tropical trees. It can be anything from a high protein moringa that is used in a lot of third world countries to supplement diets and even produce a bread type product, and can be used in baby formulas. There's other tropical trees we're going to get a chance to show you as well. And again, we're in a different phase of the program. On the back side of the property, we were We were upstairs a minute ago in the dining room looking out over the lake. Well, now we're down by the lake where we actually, the men in the program and the guests in our hotel have an opportunity to go and fish back here. We have canoes. We have all kinds of recreational things. People don't realize that when you come to a program like this, we want people to develop recreational skills. And that sounds funny to some people, but for us, recreational skills are a key part of what we get to do. When you're a drug addict or an alcoholic, fun revolves around using. And so now as you get sober, we want you to be able to stay in an atmosphere where you can experience fun and recreation in a way without, learn to laugh and have fun like a kid used to, without drugs or alcohol, just having fun and experiencing that. So canoeing and kayaking and fishing in the farm and the lake right here by the farm is a big part of what we do. So let's go show you the main garden right here, and Sharon may tell us a little bit of what's going on. Thanks for the ride. And all the time we're here, you're going to see us upgrading the product. So farming is one of those things. Most of you who are up north, summer is when the primary growing season is. Talk about the growing seasons we have here, Sharon.
Typically for Florida, we're blessed with our warm climate. So main months of production are the fall and the spring. Cooler temperatures. Plants seem to like the low humidity and the cooler temperatures. Right now, the men are working maintaining the gardens, but we have a little bit of everything. A lot of peppers, some jalapenos, lettuce. We've got lettuce right here in front, some cabbage off to the left, some tomatoes. The men look like we're getting some tomatoes that are turning color right now. We do like to plant some beneficial flowers for the bees and the natural insects. And then in the back there we have some more cabbage and basil and a lot of leafy greens for the men to eat healthy. Nutrition is important for the men in their recovery.
Yeah, leafy greens are one of those things. We know that brain health, in part, is a big part of recovery. When somebody's been in active addiction, their thought processes are damaged by their drug and alcohol use. And so being in recovery, they need leafy green vegetables. Fresh, vibrant fruits and vegetables are really good for them. So this is a key part of our program, having productive work. If you've been living a life of very little value, you've been just consuming drugs and taking and not part of a family but a consumer of family resources, to come out here and produce food that'll be on the plate at lunch or at dinner tonight. The peppers they were cutting up in the garden or in the kitchen earlier were from our garden. So on this time of year especially, you'll see every meal is going to have food on the plates that we're serving that's been prepared here. I see a couple of places, there's some big empty spots in the garden there. Can you tell me tell us what's going on with that right now, and just real briefly, what are we doing?
So the men are really excited working in the ag program. So and we've run out of room to grow all the things we would like to. So we've expanded our raised beds. They were cut off over here, and so we're just connected them in the middle to give us maybe an extra 20 square foot of extra room to grow more plants and to provide more food for the men.
All right. Well, great. Well, and this is an area, because of the natural beauty out here, and it's nearly perfect weather for an outside event. So when Cassandra was talking about doing outside events, some of our dinners and things have been hosted out here, and these beautiful gardens are a great place to do. You're sitting by the plants where maybe your meal was just harvested earlier that day. So what a great opportunity to sit out here and experience that. Now, we have the lakes over there, and we have a food forest going. Tell me a little bit about what kind of trees we have in the food forest.
Sure. Excuse me. So we have 2 or 3 varieties of bananas in our food forest, some tropical fruits such as mango and avocado. We're getting into planting some blueberries. We do have some citrus that are not doing so well due to HLB greening disease, and we're trying to just increase the overall number of fruit trees that we have, looking to plant some star fruit and maybe some other types of different mango varieties.
Yep. One of the things that people don't realize in this little microclimate here, along the Caloosahatchee, we have the opportunity to grow most of the things that are being grown in Hawaii. So what's one of the Hawaiian products we're able to grow out here?
So one of the more unique things on our property are the macadamia nut trees. I was not aware before I joined St. Matthews that we could grow macadamia trees in Florida. But there was a gentleman, local man here in Labelle that had a farm, and he was generous enough to donate his time and his knowledge. And we got some tree plant material from him, and we've expanded our macadamia tree plantation orchard. So right now they're flowering, so we should have nuts here probably towards the middle or end of summer.
That's great. I saw some of the nuts on there already. Earlier, I was out here walking around, and as the trees are flowering, there's this beautiful fragrant smell. It's a little more subtle maybe than the orange groves, or maybe just because there aren't as many as in a huge orange grove, but it's really a beautiful smell. And while we're showing you a beautiful property, you can't really experience until you come out here. And it's so much more impressive and so much more impactful when you get out here and you get a chance to meet the men whose lives are being impacted by the work we do. I'm going to just walk you around a little bit here and show you toward the lake over here. Off in the distance, we have an area where we have honeybees. I mentioned earlier that we have some honeybees that were impacted a lot. A lot of the pollen comes from the pepper hedge. And so, Sharon, have you and the men, have you been involved in apiary or raising bees before?
I have a little bit of experience with working with honeybees. I attended the University of Florida Bee College probably 4 years ago, and we have a volunteer, really nice gentleman, Mark, who comes and helps, who is training me, and then we're also training the men to possibly learn to go into the apiary business.
So how many gallons, or how do we measure honey production? How much can we produce, or do we think we're going to be able to produce?
Well, we had a honey harvest back in November, and we probably got close to maybe 2 gallons, if I were to estimate. And we're expecting another nice harvest. The citrus trees are currently in bloom, and the Brazilian pepper trees are timed also to bloom throughout the year. So that's mostly where we're getting the honey from. But we're building up the hives. I was just checking on the bees Monday morning, and they're doing well. We're gonna buy some new queens and expand some of our hives. So it's very exciting.
That's good and exciting stuff. When you look over at the property here, there's a lake down here and a bridge going over it where it was the old golf course, and leads into a cattle where we have some cows growing and past our food forest. This is a great venue. There's several locations as we walk around and look at this to do events. And so for anybody who's watching this and interested in the work of St. Matthew's House, and you want to do a wedding, or you want to do a big family gathering, or you want to do a marriage renewal. My parents, after 50 years, had their anniversary and had a marriage renewal. That's the type of thing you can do out here, where we can just have a beautiful place for people to gather. And especially during this season, is to be out here and really experiencing that. The food forest, as we go along in the future, you're going to see more and more trees planted. So this becomes more of that pastoral, friendly kind of atmosphere where people can experience the grace of God and really have the opportunity to be touched out here in nature. And we're very excited to get you as our donors and supporters out here to see this property, to experience all the good things that we get to see every day. It's easy sometimes to take it for granted when you live in Southwest Florida that just on a short distance away, less than an hour from Naples, is this beautiful rural property that's a place of rest and retreat and recovery. And it's because so many people like you have given. We have a question, I think.
Yes, we do. We've got Kevin watching right now, Van. He asked, is the program full right now, or is there a waiting list?
Kevin called in and asked the question, is the program full or is there a waiting list? Well, we always encourage people who are interested in getting help for their addiction or life-controlling problems to call our main number and ask for intake for Justin's place. The men's and the women's programs tend to run close to full, but we always want to triage somebody and begin that conversation. Oftentimes, I was talking earlier with a friend of mine who has a brother who's a heroin addict. And so the first step we were doing was getting him into a detox program so that he could safely get off of those drugs and then be ready to come to us. We found that when somebody's really hurting and they're ready to make some changes, there will always be a bed available for them. And so we're almost always full, but the miracles always seem to happen that there's enough space for that man or that woman that's ready to surrender. Well, we've probably spent a good bit of time talking, and I don't want to carry this too much longer, but thank you for joining us at St. Matthew's House. We have the privilege of carrying God's grace to so many people. Not only the men in this program, the women in our program, the homeless that we serve in our Naples and Immokalee shelters. We support that through our social enterprises. So when you think about St. Matthew's House, it's more than just the groceries. We've gotten a lot of press for helping literally hundreds of thousands of people in our community have been impacted by the thousands of bags of groceries we're giving out every week during this season. But this is really more than just a meal. This is teaching people how to grow a meal and provide for themselves and their family. Thank you for all that you do to support us. And again, we're so grateful for the Halachek Family Foundation to give us this property where we can make a big lasting difference in the lives of so many men. God bless you and thank you.